What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Welcome to another Ronald Diltz II podcast. Super pumped, super excited to be here once again, presenting, and talking about some really great topics and some things that relate to my journey, with the hopes that it's going to help you with your own journey. So a major topic for this wonderful session. Let's give it up. Major topic for this session would be write what you know. All right. Write what you know is the name of the topic for this session. So whenever I hear about a crazy situation, I'm always like, that would make a great film. A lot of people that know me know I'm always talking about that would make a great film or a great TV series. Whenever I go through something crazy in life, I'm always like, that would make a great film. No matter what it is, no matter what I hear, no matter what I see, no matter what I feel, sometimes I'm always like, yo, how can I turn this into a project? If I ever go through a situation, you know what I'm saying? Like in the past, don't be that person that do me wrong or do me dirty, because guess what? You may end up in a film. That was just me. I'm still a little like that too. So some films coming up, you'll be surprised. Got some really interesting stories on the way. But yes, that was pretty much me. And that's usually how I get a lot of motivation for a lot of my work. And so, yes, that's all part of writing what you know. All right. If you're going through a difficult time or difficult situation, guess what? That would make a great film. All right. So definitely something to think about. We don't just go through all these things not to share. OK, God doesn't take us through these situations not to share them with the world. So yeah, consider that. You know what I'm saying? If you're going through something, and it's only usually a season one. All right. So maybe it's a season. It could be, a week. It could be a couple days. It can be a month. Sometimes it can be a little longer. Right. Some seasons are a lot longer. All right. But we're going through that stuff. One, it's going to make us stronger. Two, it's going to build our faith. But three, it's also something that we can share with the world. All right. Something that we can share and hopefully motivate someone else that may come up behind us. OK, God, like I said, God doesn't put us through all these situations to be quiet about them. OK, we have to share these trials and tribulations with the world. All right. The world need to hear how we were able to make it through. All right. How God allowed us to come through this journey. All right. And when we are able to get through the trial or situation, we realize, right, that God used it to build character. All right. So God used that situation to build character. All right. And to build our faith, and to be able to build our faith, the trust in him. All right. So that's a lot of times why we go through a lot of different, seasons, a lot of different situations. It's basically God is preparing us for what he has in store for us in that future. All right. So in the near future, sometimes it can be, a little longer than the near future. So, but every situation is to prepare us for what God ultimately has in store for our journey. So look at it like that. I know it's been some times and situations that I've been through, me and my wife, where we're just going through it. It can easily be something financially, something comes up, how things come up. We had a situation when the washer went out, and we have 3 kids in the house. So we need to be able to wash. So we had to go old school and wash the clothes by hand. And, thankfully our dryer was working, but we didn't have to go through it that long. God allowed us to be blessed to be able to purchase a new washer. And things got back to normal. But again, I'm thinking in my mind, like, whew, that's definitely a great scene for one of my projects, to show what it was like, to have a washer. Maybe sometimes we have things in life and sometimes we take them for granted. But in this situation, it's not like we took it for granted because we've been through so much already. But in this situation, we're reminded how blessed we are to have a washer, and a dryer, you know what I'm saying? Because now we have to wash by hand. So we're realizing, we're very blessed to be able to have a washer that works in a dryer to dry our clothes. And so when that washer came back in, you better believe it. We praying over it. We thanking God for it. And we know we're not going to take it ever for granted because of what we've been through. And we've had situations in the past where our dryer went out, so we had to hang the clothes up. You know what I'm saying? God allowed us to be blessed to get another dryer. And so things like this happen. And to me, the way I look at it as an artist is it's like I can't necessarily be quiet about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I usually love to journal, especially when it's a lot of things going on. It's great to journal that stuff and write about it. So guess what? You know, if you have a project come up, now you can remember these things. And we've had quite a lot that I've written so much that now it's to the point that it could definitely be a TV series, because there's so many notes that I've written up, you know, and just basically journaling about everything that goes on. Oh, this happened today. Oh, we had to replace the washer today. Oh, we had to replace the dryer today. So when things like that happen, to me, it's like, oh, I got to take a note of it. I got to write it down, because guess what? I'm going to need this material to share with the world, you know, to encourage someone that may go through a similar situation, you know. So it's always great to keep notes of that stuff. All right. Now, God used this stuff to build our faith. Okay, that's my next point. God uses these situations to build our faith. All right, so keep that in mind. Okay, you know, a lot of times we're very blessed. You know, very blessed to be here, to be alive, to be healthy, to be well. The moment something happens, you know, maybe you get sick. You know what I'm saying? That's something to test your faith in that situation. Okay, and then especially when not only you're going through it, but you see God working to get you through. So it's another way to build faith, you know, to trust God in every situation. And so keep that in mind. It's to make you stronger. Okay. And of course, I'm sure you're going to be praying through the situation. But it's to make you stronger than you were before. So when the situation happens again, guess what? Oh, we knew God brought us through it that first time, so we know He's going to bring us through it once again. All right, so that's the God we serve. All right, so keep that in mind. These are situations that you're supposed to share, whether you're sharing it like a testimony, you know, or you're doing a video about it. You don't necessarily have to do a movie like me, or a film, or a film or a TV series. But maybe you're just sharing it, you know, you're sharing it in your blog, you're sharing it, you know, to your followers, you know, you're talking about it, you know. And so this is always great to share these situations, these trials, these tribulations, just to encourage those that are out there that may be going through something similar. Okay. I'm here to tell you, you will have to go through some trials. You have to go through some tribulations in life, but have faith. God has overcome the world. All right. He has overcome the world. All right. Amen. In fact, He created the world and everything that's in it. So trust me, He will not let anything happen to you. All right. He will not let anything happen to you that's not supposed to happen. All right. I have to put that's not supposed to happen. So He's going to allow things to happen to you to shape you up and to prepare you for the work that He has for you to do. But He's not going to allow anything to happen to you that's not supposed to happen. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. Sometimes we don't understand. I've been through some things that I just don't understand. Why, God? Why we have to go through all this? You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to go through all of this? But I know in that journey, God has prepared me and is still preparing me for what He has in store. And I've learned a lot. My faith has grown to another level. It's still growing. All right. I'm not perfect. It's still growing. But I've learned so much on this journey of life. And thank God He's given me a mindset to write this stuff down so I'll remember it and so I can share it with the world. All right. And I'm blessed to be a filmmaker. So, of course, naturally, it's going to be great for me to share it through that platform. And look, I have a podcast show, right? I have a couple podcast shows. And so it's really great for me to share through this platform. All right. And I don't know about you, but when I get to share some things that God has brought us through and just talking about my journey, you know, as a filmmaker, it makes me feel so good inside. Like I can't stop. I was so excited to just get back to recording. And I'm just super excited. Okay. And what God is doing. And I tell you right now, we're going through it right now. You wouldn't know unless I told you. All right, we're going through some things now, but guess what? We've been through so much. God has brought us through so much that now our faith is even stronger. In the midst of going through, our faith is even stronger. All right. And guess what? I'm writing it down. I'm talking to you about it now. So these are ways for me to prayerfully encourage my listeners, encourage you on your own journey. All right. Write it down. Take note of it. Understand the purpose behind it. Okay. It just makes the process much sweeter. And I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but right now it's kind of like when you're going through it. Yeah, you may not understand why. You may not understand why you have to go through these situations, these circumstances. But trust me, once you make it through, you'll realize, okay, I understand now. I had to go through that so I can start praying more. I had to go through that so I can start documenting it for my next book. I had to go through that to get some ideas for this film God just put on my spirit to do. I had to go through that to lead my children in the right direction. I had to go through that so I can be prepared to bless my children like my parents just blessed me. So a lot of times we go through a lot of these things just to prepare us for the future. And you just got to make sure you're writing about it, because we need these things. Just like the word came about because our great brothers and sisters went through things, okay, in the time that we had no idea about. If it wasn't for the work that they wrote, that God laid on them to write, to prepare us for not only what's going on now, but what's coming in the future. So they were able to write those stories down. Why can't we? You know what I'm saying? They don't have none of the stuff that we have access to now, none of this stuff, right? And they still were able to write and pass on these great stories from generations to generations to generations. And look at all that God has gave us access to, right? Isn't that something? I'm just like, wow, Lord, speak through me. Look at all the things that we have access to, computers, mobile phones that do so much stuff. All right. We have access to all these different platforms that we can share. All right. So think about that. All right. Think about that. If they were able to do it back then, guess what? We should be able to do it on a whole nother level now. So think about that. Okay. When it comes to these stories, these situations, these circumstances that you're going through, it's not that you're just going through it just to be going through it. It's for a reason. All right. It's intentional. Okay. All right. It's a purpose behind it. So make sure you take note of that. Okay. And make sure you share. We all need that. We all need these stories, and we all need encouragement to move forward by faith. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. Keep that in mind. Oftentimes we find ourselves in circumstances that stress us out. Man, who is this? Who is this I'm talking to right now? Right. I know I'm talking to myself. Sometimes, just being around the kids and the yelling, the screaming, you're trying to get them ready. They complaining, they whining, they crying. I mean, the list just go on. And all the time, listen to this. All the time, I'm like, God, I hope we not like this with you, Lord. Oh, oh, God. I kid you not. I'll be getting on my child like, yo, can you chill out? And then I'm just rebuking myself like, oh, I hope I'm not like this with you, Lord God. Or I hope I wasn't like this with my own parents, right? We say that too. But think about that. Sometimes some situations stress us out, and it's just our mind is just too much into that situation instead of just letting it go. We're trying to figure it out instead of just letting it go. I've been there several times. Can't even count how many times it's been. But you know what I'm saying? I've found that God always allowed to work out for his special purpose. And my stressing didn't do anything for it. Right. My stressing didn't help the situation. I wasn't even supposed to be worried about it, but that's just how we are built. All right. We worry, we stress about things that don't even matter. OK, I know I do. I realize how it wasn't even that important that I'm stressing about. All right. So, of course, this causes anxiety. All right. Causes anxiety. I've been open about anxiety and my struggles with it. And I've been blessed to, God has led me to do research because I was, like I said in the last episode, I'm tired of taking things to kind of help me cope with it. You know what I'm saying? From the inhaler, I'm tired of doing even the natural medications because sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just tired of dealing with anxiety. All right. And so, it's ways that I've learned and have grown to cope with it. And it's working. Even to the point on yesterday, the day I'm recording this session, last night I was dealing with it just trying to unwind from the day, getting the kids ready for bed, and just a blessed day, but just unwinding. Everything is rolling through my mind while I'm trying to just relax and work on some other stuff. And it got to the point I was just like, okay, that's just going to have to wait. All right. Sometimes you have to do that. You just got to close the computer, close your phone, put it away, and be like, that's just going to have to wait. All right. I can't do it right now. Okay. I need to relax. I need to rest. My breathing is up. That's just going to have to wait. All right. And so sometimes it has to be like that. You just got to pull away. And I know the anxiety started to come up, on me last night because I hadn't been sleeping, getting to bed a decent time. So rest is very important when it comes to dealing with stress and dealing with anxiety. We all struggle with trying to get to bed. I mean, we got so much stuff that we want to do, so much stuff we're trying to do. Usually when you're parents, of course, you have the children. Okay. And once the children go to bed, you try to have a little time to do something that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And if you're working, of course, full time, of course, you're working, you have your family, and then you may try to still do something after the kids go to bed. That's usually my situation. But sometimes you just got to say, hey, I just got to get some rest tonight. I'm tired. All right. I don't did enough of work today. It's time for me to relax. And so that was the case last night. And I found myself the moment I got in bed, I think I had woke up, about the time my wife had got to bed. And I just felt the anxiety was gone because I had just got in bed and laid down, and actually fell asleep. And so it really comforted me in that moment to just get even a little rest, and then I went back to sleep, of course. But yeah, it's very important for us to get the rest. That helps a lot when it comes to our mental health, of course, and our physical health. But check this out, too. Trying to get my prayers in last night before getting in bed. I have my regular prayer that I do, of course. But then I also have a book of prayers that I also go through, some at night and some in the morning when I wake up. And so a lot of times I get to that bed and I'm just too relaxed. I'm too relaxed. I can't get through all my prayers. Okay. And so I find a lot of that sometimes it's great to even do those prayers before I get to the bed. But yeah, last night I didn't make it through anything. I did my regular prayer and then I was just dozing, falling asleep. Okay. So I knew I was like, it's time to get some rest. But think about it. If you're getting your rest, you'll be able to get up earlier to do your prayers, okay, and have your devotion with God. You'll be able to have a little more energy at night, before winding down, especially when you get there a lot earlier, okay, and instead of waiting late, working on projects, you get to bed a little earlier and give yourself time to wind down, have your prayer time, have your devotion time, and have your spouse time, but you'll be able to do those things if you're getting more rest. And so rest is very important. I'm learning more and more to pull away, to unplug. It was a time that, of course, all these stories and stuff I want to tell and write. It was a time where I was resting was me watching a movie on the couch with my computer, working on a script. That was how I used to unwind and rest. Now, as I said before, writing a script sometimes can feel like work now for me, all right? Because my energy is being pulled in so many different directions. So writing a script sometimes can feel like work, all right? Especially when that fire is not lit or burning. You're just basically trying to push through that project. And so it's always good to get that rest, get that mental break, all right? It's always great for your mental health and, of course, your physical health. And then ultimately you'll have more energy for your spiritual health. So you'll be able to get that time in with God. So important. Y'all see what level I'm on right now. Still growing, still learning. And just want to share, just want to continue to share. So oftentimes we find ourselves in these situations that stress us out. And of course, they cause anxiety. Of course, we got to get that rest. We got to stop allowing things to stress us out that doesn't matter, okay? Because God is ultimately in control. All right, whether you know it or not, God is in control of that situation. He just wants you to sit back and enjoy the show, because he's going to give you something to write about. He's going to give you a testimony to share. Look at that, right? He's going to give you something to share with the world. So sit back and let him do what he ultimately does anyway. All right. He's going to do it anyway. He's going to fix the situation anyway. All right. What I thought was stressing me out doesn't even matter anymore. I always find that out. It doesn't matter anymore. All right. So it's stressing me out, but it doesn't matter. All right. God had a plan all along, and it had nothing to do with me trying to figure it out. We're always busy trying to figure it out. It causes so much stress, y'all. So much stress, especially in this world that we live in, where so many live off negativity, so many live off negative energy, so many live off bad news. All right. So this is the world that we live in. So why can't we take time to share some good news? All right. To shine some positive light into the world. And we can do that by talking about what God has brought us through. All right. We can do that by writing about it and blogging about it, or whatever it is, whatever platform that you enjoy producing content on. This is your way to share that journey, to write what you know. All right. The day me and my wife, now check this out. All right. The day me and my wife found out our son was going to be born with a bilateral cleft lip. We found that out first. All right. And notice I said first. Wow. Right. So when we found out the day that he was going to be born with a bilateral cleft lip, you would have thought all hell broke loose. All right. You would have thought all hell broke loose. Listen to this story. All right. The morning we woke up that morning for our doctor's appointment, I go out into the garage and there's a nail in the tire. So already my day is starting out stressed just because of this nail. I'm wondering, how did the nail get here? Why does it have to be the day? Out of all days, it has to be the day that we have our doctor's appointment. All right. So that already just kind of irked the nerve. All right. After receiving the news, now we make it to the doctor's appointment. And then at this doctor's appointment, we receive the news from our doctor, one of our doctors there at the time, that our son has some complications in the womb. And it's this bilateral cleft lip. All right. So they're seeing it on the scans that he has a bilateral cleft lip. And we're just like, what? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? So it kind of hit us, because as parents, when you're hearing this information right away, you're thinking, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? Ain't that something? That's how we always wondering, what did we do? You know, we felt we were eating right. We felt we were working out. We didn't think we did anything crazy, you know, to fall. We didn't fall. We didn't bump, you know, anything. My wife didn't, you know, injure herself. So we automatically are looking at what did we do? You know what I'm saying? And wow, right? Isn't that sad that we look at ourselves like that when God has already gave a purpose for this situation? We automatically looking at, what did we do? How can we fix this? Right? Ain't that something? How can we fix this? It's not our job to fix it. All right. We're already looking at it like that. All right. So after receiving this news, of course, we were there. We didn't know how to feel. You know, we didn't know what was going on. Why did this happen? Why would God allow this to happen? These are thoughts that are going through our head. All right. Then on our way to the dealership. So now we still have a nail in the tire. All right. On the way to the dealership, a vehicle runs the red light, like literally turning right into the street where the dealership is. A vehicle runs the red light, nearly almost hitting our vehicle. All right. So this was just freaking us out, because it wasn't my doing. I was behind the wheel, but I really felt like our vehicle was moved out the way. All right. It was like an angel just said, woof, and moved the vehicle out the way, because that car literally came so close to hitting us, and our car was just moved out the way so it wouldn't touch us. So it didn't touch our vehicle. All right. So that after that situation happened, I had to stop, you know, for a second, you know, as we pulled up out the way, and just kind of like, whew, you know, checking on my wife, making sure she's good. Like, what is going on today? Right? There's already three things made. And trust me, this is not it. This is not even half of everything. Three things that happened already. All right. We get to the dealership. The personnel that's helping us at the dealership. All right. We notice right away that he is a cleft lip. I wouldn't even necessarily say survivor, because it's not necessarily, I mean, you're a survivor, but he's someone that has had his cleft lip already repaired, but you can just see kind of like a light scar there. And I'm looking at my wife, I'm like, God, it's something else right now. Like, to show us someone who seems just very outgoing, very happy, helping us, you know what I'm saying? I'm one that loves to talk to people when they're helping us, you know, just see how their day going, see how their family doing, different things like that. I'm just a people person. I love communication, and just getting to know people that are helping us. You know, not everybody do that anymore. You know, we need to do more of that. But that's just who we are on this end. And so talking to him and just finding out about his family, his wife, and just so much great things. So in this moment, it was kind of like God was saying, hey, you know, I know you both don't understand why I'm doing this. This blessing that I'm putting upon you both, I'm putting in your life. You don't understand it, but guess what? I'm going to show you that it's going to be okay. It's going to be better than okay. All right, because it's my master plan for your life. All right. And so that was just set with us, you know, in that moment while we waited for our car to be repaired, this nail to be taken out. It's just just think about it for an instance, you know, God, the ultimate creator, one, putting a nail in our car so we can go to the dealership this day after receiving the news. I'm just getting excited, y'all. After receiving the news, to find out that it's a gentleman here that has a cleft lip, that's been repaired, been years, you know, just living his best life. And here we are, you know, being sent to this place to be here at that moment. If it wasn't for that nail, we would have never been at that dealership that day. We didn't have a reason to, but because of the nail had to come out. We had to get this repaired. Because of that nail, we were put in place. We were put there. He was put there that particular day. I didn't see this individual any of the other times I had been to the dealership. This was the first time meeting this individual. All right. So that's just like, wow. Right. So this is how God works. All right. So, you know, this got to be a story. All right. So this was just a random situation. I felt I was just like, this is so random, you know. But check this out. Getting our car repaired. We was just happy to okay, we're going home. We still, you know, sinking in the news that we received about our child that's in the womb, our first child. But on the way home, right, we almost get hit now by an unmarked police car. And it wasn't necessarily, we were pretty much, the light turned green and we were getting ready to go. And this unmarked police car just zooms out. And then, of course, they're looking at me like I'm in the wrong, but I'm just like, I mean, of course, they have no idea of what we've been going through all day. So at that moment, I'm just like, yo, whatever, I'm ready to get home. You know what I'm saying? So they, of course, going about their business to whatever emergency it was. I was just looked at my wife like, I'm just ready to get home. Let's just get home right now, because it is just too much. This is too much. It's like like I said, a spiritual battle going on right now, and we're in the middle of it. All right. So much craziness happened. Okay, this particular day, and I remember feeling so exhausted. Okay. Now to top it all off, it was some other minor things that happened at home. I think I spilled some wine on the carpet. Which is crazy, as we know, could be a nice stain, red wine. But the food that we ordered that night ended up making me sick to my stomach. So to top it all off, it didn't get better, you know, having a major stomach ache to end the night. So it was a really, really tough day. All right. A really tough day. I remember pleading to God, please get us through this day. All right, please get us through this day. But yeah, when it was all said and done, the next day, I just remember, of course, saying that was like a movie. One day, one day out of many was like a movie. Okay. I was just like, yo, this day I got to document all this stuff because there's no way that all these things happen in one day, but they did. And it was only because of God we were able to get through all of that. All right. But that day definitely goes down in history in our books, and it's definitely something that had to be written down. Okay. And we've shared this. So we shared this in our podcast show, my wife and I, in our podcast show, God, Family, and Business podcast. We talk a lot about that journey in that particular day. So I was just like, yo, this is just crazy, super crazy day. So of course, some go through anything like that. It's definitely worth sharing, because think about someone that may go through even one of those situations and how that would impact them to hear that someone got through it, or maybe a couple of those things, especially having a child that's going to be born cleft, part of our cleft family, as we call it. And so, yeah, so it was definitely a lot. And then to push forward, we later found out that it's not just cleft lip. Our son actually had a bilateral cleft lip. All right. Then after that, we found out that our son had a nasoencephalocele, which is where basically the skin is pushed up in between, like right in the forehead, right between the eyes. And it can probably be in various places in that area. But yeah, 3 major things. So right away, we're being told it's going to be 3 major procedures. And so just imagine going through something like that in your first pregnancy, your first child, and so in those moments, we're just like in awe. We don't understand, like, why us? Why do we have to go through this? Why would God do something like this? Right? Let's just be honest. But again, because of our faith, we just kind of had to hold on to that. And we would do a lot of prayer. We prayed over our child. We prayed over the situation. I don't think I probably started writing down notes about everything, probably until it actually digest a little later. More so when we were in the process of getting ready to start our first podcast show. We started reflecting on all that, and I was writing notes then, just going back through the journey. All right. And so, but these are things that you wonder, you're trying to figure it out, and, there's even times that we were praying to God, we know you can fix this. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that something? God, we know you can fix it. Yes, God can fix it, but God was the one who ultimately put this situation in the womb. All right. So if God wanted to be fixed, he would have never did it the first time. All right. Or maybe he would have if he still needed to show you his miraculous ways. But, we had to have that mindset. And that's where I was. It was like, I started thinking, I was like, maybe God wants us to go through this. I had to share that with my wife. And so, but we'll keep praying, prayer changes things. We believe in miracles. Prayer can change things. But once we started getting closer to that due date, I had to, get into my wife's ear and be like, I just want to make sure that you understand that this could be a situation that God wants us to go through. And so just be prepared. If our son comes out, just as they said, then this is our journey and it's okay. We're going to be all right. God is going to get us through. And so you continue to, lean on your faith in those moments. And of course, when you can start writing this stuff down, just imagine how many lives you can change or encourage in a moment. And it could be someone that's going through something that's not necessarily dealing with cleft lip or palate, but maybe it's someone that's going through a similar situation. Their child has to go through a major procedure. They can lean on your experience, because that first procedure, that was a scary roller coaster for us. We were leaning on our faith, but it wasn't easy just to hear what they were going to do and to see our child, having to go back and go through this. And they comfort us. They're such amazing people that we've been blessed to have on this journey in our corner. But yes, it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? It takes a village to kind of hold you together in those situations. But yes, of course, this was a great story. My wife blogged about it, our experiences. So that actually helped people through her blog, and so many wonderful families have reached out that were dealing with similar situations, or had to go through similar situations with their own children or child, and it definitely encouraged them on their journey. So these situations, they help so many, more beyond than we can ever think about. All right, so think about that. You're not just going through that situation to keep it to yourself. All right, and you better believe the situations make us stronger. Right, it gives us that testimony like no other. All right. We used to also always wonder in church, you have certain individuals that spirit move them, and they are dancing, they're screaming, they're hollering, they're jumping around and shouting, praising God. And you like, okay, you're seeing. Now, guess what? That situation could be me now, because I think about all the things that God has brought us through. All right. And so your testimony becomes greater. All right. And our testimony is on a whole nother level that our parents can't even relate to this. All right. They were there with us through this journey. They can't relate to going through a situation like this. And so guess what? That's because it's our journey to share with the world. We didn't even share the news with any of our family when we first found out. We were going through it, and we just said, hey, God has gave us this situation. We're going to pray about it, ask God to fix it if it's his perfect will. But we're not going to share the news with anybody. All right. And that's basically how we went through it. We held our heads high and held on to each other and pushed through. Now we got the testimony. Now we got the story. All right. So we have to share it with the world. We have to continue to share it with the world to encourage everyone else. What did I do next? So I started, of course, journaling about this situation, everything that we went through, everything that we were going through. Eventually, I was taking those notes, and I started to kind of turn it into a film. All right. So that was originally my plan. I'm going to write this into a movie. And base it around me and my wife and our experience before getting together, getting married, and before our firstborn. And so I started, turning this into a film. That film ended up being close to 200 pages, believe it or not. And so if you wonder why I've been ghosted, well, of course, we're waiting on some funding for some film projects. But this has been some of the work that I have been doing. 200 pages, right? This film turned into, and anyone that's a writer that knows films, that is a long behind movie. We do not write films that long. I mean, we may write them, but we're not expecting them to be produced that long. That's like 2 films put together. And so usually a film script is between 90 to 120 pages is pretty norm for a film script. And of course, getting that film script between, depending on what genre it is, I'm learning that too, 90 to 100 is a really great place to be. But yeah, so to think of a 200-page script, I'm like, this is not a movie. This is a TV series. And think about this too. I had been writing notes and already considering a sequel for this film. So not only do I have 200 pages of the script, but I also have, I started writing notes to basically what's happening now, considering the sequel. So it's just like I told my wife, this is not a film. This is a TV series. So we're going to start having to look at a TV series now moving forward. So that's what I've been doing. I'm like, okay, this is definitely a TV series. But think about this. We could have easily kept this situation to ourselves. We could have easily just said, hey, we're just going to put our head down and go through. But that's not why God put us through this. That's not why God put the situation in our laps. All right. He put it in our laps because, one, he wants us to grow stronger, closer to him, because our faith definitely went to another level, especially our prayer life went to another level. And this is just having a child. We went through so much other things even around that. But yes, our faith went to another level. The projects that we want to do have went to another level. We're listening to God's voice in a different way now, because it's getting more clear, what he wants us to put out into the world. More people coming up to us, and we call them angels because they just come up and it's like they give us a message from God. Hey, what you supposed to be doing? You know what I'm saying? We had someone talk to us right in Whole Foods. What are you supposed to be doing? What are you supposed to be doing? And we looking like, whoa, what you mean? And so these the type of things that happen when your faith is going to the next level. And so we have to share these stories. We have to. All right. And so I'm looking at this as a TV series, and now I have several pages of notes. All right. Because things that have basically happened since then. We had two children, one before, probably in the beginning of COVID, and one at the end of COVID. So we've been through quite a journey, all right, on this journey. And so it's definitely things I had to document, and just so I can remember all the details. But yes, this is definitely a great story for us to share, and it's going to be a good one. So get ready, right? Get ready for it. But the world needs to hear this story. Our children need to hear this story, right? Isn't that something to be able to leave a story for your children to hear? You know what I'm saying? And so think about all the stories in the Bible that were left for all the children to come up after. All right. And all of us, think about all these stories we needed to lean on, like Proverbs and Psalms. I mean, think about that. You know what I'm saying? So this story has to be told. I'm saying in past tense, but it has to be told. So there's a saying in the entertainment industry, all right, that every movie has been done once. All right. Every movie has been done once. We hear that all the time. I'm here to tell you that every movie may have been done once, but not your movie. All right. Only you can tell the story that God has brought you through. All right. You may see a film or project or TV series that's similar, but it's not your voice, one, and it's not your exact story. All right. Because you probably went through things differently. You probably handled those situations differently. And so only you can tell the story that God is giving you. All right. So don't necessarily say I agree that every story has been done once. Every maybe idea probably has been, but not every story, because we all have stories that are real to us and true to us that we can tell from a whole different perspective from everybody else. And they may be similar. All right. They may be similar, but it's still your voice. It's still your story. It's still your testimony. So that's what makes it unique. All right. Well, that's what I feel about that. Now, my question for you. All right. I have to ask some questions. So my first question for you is, are you going through something today? All right. Think about, your life. Are you going through something today? All right. Maybe it's a burden, on your heart. Maybe it's a burden on your mind. Okay. Remember that stress thing. Sometimes it weighs on us, and we're human. It's going to weigh on us. You never know. Depending on the situation, it's going to affect us differently. Depending on the situation, it may last a lot longer. Okay. That hurt and that pain. All right. So it just really depends on that situation. There's nothing in life is easy. All right. Everything we have to work at, we have to work for, and we have to think about our mental health a lot mainly our mental health when it comes to this type of stuff, So what I want to encourage you to do today is it's time to release it today. All right. Easier said than done, I know, but it's time to release it today. All right. Give God that burden. All right. Give God that burden, but don't just stand by and watch him. Now, fix the situation. Don't just stand by and watch him. You know what I'm saying? I want you to write down your testimony. All right. Take notes about the victory that God is about to show you. Right. Take notes about it so you can share it with the world. All right. The world needs to hear about this story. The world needs to hear about your story and the situation that God has allowed you to overcome. Now, this will help you release it to the world. Right. What if you can change the world by your story? Would that encourage you to release it? If you can change the world by your story, come on now. If you can change the world, all right. My motto for my film company is we produce films and plays that change lives. All right. Every project, that's my goal, to change lives. And so I love to give my audience things to think about when they leave, the theater or both of them are theaters. When they leave the theater from watching a play and when they leave the theater from watching a film, I love to leave kind of like something for them to kind of take with them to think about. All right. So what if your story can change the world? What if you give someone hope by your story? All right. So we don't think about that. All right. Somebody else could be going through the same exact situation. All right. And they are waiting on your story. All right. You ever have a situation when you happen to run into someone and you're telling them, maybe, what God just brought you through, or what you just, overcame, and of course that's God allowing you to overcome it. And then they just have a relief like, oh my goodness, I'm going through something similar right now. All right. Because it's just kind of like it's meant to be, and so someone needs the hope, of your story. They need to hear that message from you. All right. What if you can give someone faith by your story? All right. Maybe someone is just, maybe they don't know God like you know God, or maybe they haven't seen God like you have seen God. And just by sharing your faith and your testimony, you can change all of that. Okay. You can give them hope. You can give them faith. Maybe they don't pray like you pray, and you just tell them, oh man, we went through it, but man, God showed up. We prayed about that thing every day and God showed up. And so you may encourage them to pray more. You know what I'm saying? You never know. And I guarantee you, when you're going through a situation, you're going to pray more. All right? If you have any faith in you, you're going to start praying more. You're going to start calling on God more. All right. And a lot of times we go through these situations so God can have us depend on him more. All right. So sometimes that's the case. A lot of times that's the case. All right. To build our faith, to allow us to lean on him more, to pray more, to spend more time with him. That's ultimately what God wants. He wants us to spend more time with him. And I've been trying to work on that relationship. And to the point where you don't just talk to God in the morning, of course you thank him. Thank you, Lord God, for waking me up this morning. You're thanking him for the day at night. But God want to have conversation with you throughout the day. All right. And I didn't know it like that until I saw my wife doing it. I'm like, okay, baby, you okay? Oh yeah. I'm just talking to God. That's what she said. I'm just talking to God. Don't mind me. You know what I'm saying? But then when she's talking to me and I ignore her, then it's a problem, right? It's a problem. I'm like, oh, I thought you were talking to God. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So, but God wants us to have that relationship with him where we can talk to him throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to work on that. God, what do you think I should do, about this next project? What do you think I should do in this situation with this student? What do you think I should do with this situation that my wife is coming to me about? What do you think I should do with my child acting up? You know what I'm saying? This is the God that we serve. God wants to have that communication with us daily, okay, and throughout the day. All right. So think about that, when it comes to your faith, your as I call your spiritual health. Think about that. Invite God into every situation that you're doing, and that's what I'm getting used to. My work day, I'm inviting God into my day. I'm going to work out. I'm inviting God into the workout session. All right, you need to invite God into the every situation throughout your day, and it will help you in that. Okay, in that situation. So, would you continue to be quiet? All right. Or would you share your journey with the world? All right. If you knew it would change someone's life today, if you knew it would change somebody's hope, if you knew it would give them more faith, all right, to build on that prayer life with God, would you keep it to yourself or would you share it with the world? We all have a story to tell. Okay. We all have a story to tell. I just told you one of my stories this episode. We all have a story to tell. It's our job to tell it. I hope this episode bless you as it blessed me. Thank you.